Here. So,
Sure.
Chris, good to have you on the show. This is Why So Spicy with Nicholas B. coming at you. I haven't spoke with you for over 30 years, I think. It's been a while.
It has been a very long time, yeah.
So you came, we kind of grew up together and we knew each other like really close. I remember staying up all night with you once for, I don't know about something, but you tricked me into not closing my eyes and you'd take a little rest and sleep. And I swear to God, I was so freaking, we were going to do something the next day, but we were too tired to do it. It's like on a Friday night to Saturday. You were a little manipulator when it came to friendship. I would just do what you said. I was like your little zombie. Oh my God, can't believe. And I was bigger than you. You were like a skinny little kid at the time. And I was like a big high school. I was muscular, but you had the way with the words and able to, talk me into things. Jesus. At least you weren't, evil in any way. You were a good person. So that's at least kept me out of trouble, I hope. I don't remember. So
I don't think we got in too much trouble. Yeah.
No, it was, so 30 years ago, we grew up together. And then how did you end up meeting your wife? Because after high school, I don't remember anything about you. I just found you on Facebook and found you later. So how did you end up meeting your wife later on?
We were in a creative writing class together and just hit it off, and it kind of went from there.
So you went to college, or did you go to like some acting school?
Yeah, I was in junior college and just kind of trying to see what direction I wanted to go in. And we just started talking every day after class, and it kind of steamrolled. And I actually ended up going on and getting a degree in writing.
What? I didn't know you were a writer. That's impressive. That's one of those things.
I said I got a degree in writing. I unfortunately did not get to become a writer. Well, not unfortunately, because I love what I do. So there you go.
There was one thing that I was in the military for a long time, and I was always afraid. I didn't know if the military people wanted me to correct them. Because one thing, grammar bothered me. And I didn't want to be one of those like jerks that came out, but it just internally I struggle with this wording. Instead of saying specifically, people will say pacifically. And sometimes they use it in a humorous way, like malapropisms. But sometimes they don't know any better. And one of the ones that gets me is when insure. I'm going to insure with an I. I'm going to ensure my house is covered in case there's a fire. But insure is I'm going to ensure that this happens today. And the military would always mess it up. And a 2-star general in charge of me messed it up, sent it out to the whole army. And I'm like, do I correct her? And if I do, I'm going to end up in frickin' Alaska, which I did end up in Alaska, so that didn't help. But I was just like, do things like that bother you being a writer? Like, do you see things that people misuse in newspapers or writing?
No, and if anything, writers are probably the worst at that sort of thing.
Oh, my God, using words. But my daughter taught me some words just recently. I'm like, I never have used that before. But so you guys met in acting class. When did you guys end up getting married? Did you have to write her a letter? Like to win her heart, or like, no, your writing's not good enough.
No,
we will not marry you till you write the perfect letter.
We didn't do things the way that anybody else normally does things. We do now. Now everybody does it this way. Is we got together, we lived together, we had a kid, and 10 years later we got married.
What? So, that's cool. Yeah, that's American thing. But I thought you got married in like a Star Wars wedding or something. But yeah, I ended up getting married.
No, we got married while I was in grad school.
What? You went to grad school? You really became a writer?
I mean, I went to grad school for writing. I didn't finish grad school. I did finish my regular bachelors, but I didn't. But grad school is where I started cooking.
What?
Because I ran out of funding. It was during the crash. And so I needed to have a job, and I started cooking, and I just...
Yeah.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Hopefully this works. So you started cooking?
Yeah, I started cooking in grad school. My funding for grad school ran out. It was during the crash, and all kinds of stuff was crazy.
2008, yeah.
And
there you are. So did you go to like cooking school, or what happened?
No, I just started cooking when school here. I took it off of a speaker, or did I take it off speaker? There, I took it off speaker. Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Good. So I I just started cooking a little cafe, and I was really good at it. And
so you didn't go to culinary school, like
nah.
Cool. Because
we lived about a block from a CSA.
What's CSA?
I forget what there's. It's a farm where you can get fresh. What does CSA stand for? CSA.
So it's a farm that you can get fresh fruit from, or food, and then
supported agriculture. Yeah.
Oh,
you just
never heard of that.
From us, and we would just go down there. We would pay a certain amount every month, and we would get a weekly, a basket full of stuff, and we would pick some stuff. And we had so many vegetables I'd never used before. I started watching. That was when Good Eats was on Food Network, and so I started watching Alton Brown preparing all these different things, and really used Good Eats as kind of my culinary school. Learned how to use a knife and learned the proper way to cook things, and it worked out really well for me.
That's amazing. Yeah, I watched these Gordon Ramsay, and I found some guy online that I really like. It's an Asian guy that's from England. He's a comedian, Uncle Roger, and he teaches you how to make fun of Asian people, but the proper way how to make Asian food. But he'll say instead of white lives matter, he'll say white rice matter. And then he speaks perfect English, but he has this little accent to make fun of, Asian type things, but because he's Asian. And he'll say, oh, why you destroy Jamie Oliver, you destroy all the food. And then he'll say, well,
I've seen him, yeah.
Oh my God. He'll say, sorry, children, for my inappropriate, in perfect English. So I like him, but yeah, I'm impressed anyone that can cook, because I can't cook to that level of. I try to cook the steak on the outside, braise it on both sides, and then put it in the oven real quick, and it just never turns out like the restaurants do, because I think they have a higher level of steak.
Well, there's a trick for that. If you want me to give you a little cooking lesson right now, cook it. They've got a thing called sous vide. Really simple little, and you cook it in water. It cooks the inside perfectly.
What?
And then you can just put it in your fridge and leave it in your fridge for as long as you need to. It's actually so sous vide is in a bag. You use a vacuum sealer to pull.
Oh, I've seen that. My wife was going to buy that for me.
Yeah, and then it's really easy because you can cook it exactly to the right temperature.
I thought it was a gimmick.
What you do is sear the outside. No, you sear the outside at the end. That's called a reverse sear. So you actually sear the outside at the end, and it works very, very well.
I thought
with your oven, instead of using the sous vide, you can just cook slow until it gets exactly the right temp, and then you can cool it down. And then whenever you're ready to make your meat, you sear the outside. It brings it up to temp, and you're ready to rock.
I thought it was one of those shysters, trying to get one over on me. We'll teach this little guy. That's cool. It does work then. That's impressive.
But the best thing about that whole couple different things is I got a good solid foundation by watching Good Eats. And it's an iconic show. It was on Food Network for many years. But last year, during the holidays, I was able to make a sauce with Alton Brown. We actually made one together that he toured with for his live show, which was pretty awesome.
Hold on, you actually got to meet him and make the food?
Well, we did it through Zoom.
Oh, I gotcha. Cool.
He does the commentary for Iron Chef America.
What?
So he was there filming Iron Chef America.
That's cool.
We would just Zoom back and forth and talk about. I would make one, send it to him, and then we would just go back and forth that way. That's
awesome. Yeah. Oh my gosh, your vocabulary has increased. You speak very well. I'm impressed, because most people from high school I knew. Well, after I moved to Arkansas, I guess that's what I'm gauging it on. They didn't read too many books, if you get what I'm saying. But I'm just so impressed. Speaking to you all these years later, and I'm just so used to people being like, duh. So you have two kids now. How old are they apart?
I've got a 20-year-old and a 17-year-old.
My God, they're older. The pictures made them look so young. On Facebook, I saw the photos. I'm like, what? They're like little kids. Yeah. 20 and 17.
They've really grown up, yeah. And our oldest works for us. They run the mail room and send packages out, and they also prep hot sauces.
That's crazy. Wow, like little kids are taking after you. And so how, and this is the weirdest question. How did you pick Idaho as all the states you wanted to live in? Do you have relatives there? Is it cheaper? I mean,
It was cheaper. So it was during the crash still. We knew that we weren't going to be able to continue in Massachusetts. It was too expensive.
what? You were in Massachusetts?
Yeah, that's where I went to grad school.
Wow. Harvard, or where'd you go?
No, I went to UMass Amherst.
Oh, nice.
And so we were looking for a place that we could, with the unemployment rates weren't sky high. And I had applied to Moscow, to University of Idaho for the MFA program early on. Didn't get in there. But we really liked the town. It just seemed like this cool little town, kind of stood out in Idaho. And so we just packed up our little tiny RAV4 and our 2 kids and drove across country.
I was just about to ask how long did it take you to bicycle across, but a RAV4 is pretty damn close.
Yeah. And so we just looked for a place all the way here. We kept, we had Craigslist. We would stop for the night, call places, and we figured if we didn't find a place by the time we got to Moscow, we'd turn left to go back to California.
Wow. And so you guys are limited funds, go to Idaho, find a place. And I'm not going to lie to you, I stereotype Idaho as one of the most beautiful states with zero crime. I think of cheap housing because I looked at if I win the lottery, I looked at moving up there and trying to find a millionaire's house. There are no houses for $1 million, by the way, in Idaho. I looked. Unless it's a ranch house, there's maybe one, but it's very hard to find.
Yeah, there are actually quite a few. There's a lot of places. A lot of big stars like to vacation in Idaho.
What?
So they buy these big giant houses. Yeah.
So were you thinking of business friendly when you went to Idaho, or were you just thinking of more like we can afford to live there and survive until we get something going?
No, we just wanted to. Yeah, we just wanted to be able to get a job because there was very few jobs anywhere, and I wanted to be able to work. The unemployment was low here, and we figured it was because there was 2 schools. We were right next to the Washington border.
Oh,
Washington is really where we wanted to be. So we came here. I ended up becoming. I worked at the co-op here in Moscow, Idaho, for a year. And learned a lot. Luckily, I was able to really hone my knife skills there.
Now, what's a co-op? A co-op is when you make food for people that are needy, or what is that?
No, a co-op is it's a grocery store that's owned by the community.
Oh.
So you buy a membership, and then you're part owner.
That's cool.
So yeah, I worked. It's a really nice co-op here, and it's a lot like a Whole Foods.
You had this whole paycheck. My gosh, I call it whole paycheck because it cost you your whole paycheck to. There was a comedian that said, we're going to pool all our money together, all 50 of us, so we're going to go buy an apple at Whole Foods.
The co-op, we now have our hot sauces in there. They carry more of our sauces than anywhere except the restaurant where we bottle our hot sauces. And
so this is what leads me into now I understand why, because you're a cooking enthusiast and it later became like your passion, hobby, job. I was going to ask why hot sauce, though. When you started cooking, you know what? We need some more flavor in this. Let's put some habanero or jalapenos. Why did you choose hot sauce as a business idea?
Well, it chose me more than anything. So we lived here in Moscow for 2 years, and it's a small town. It seemed a little too small for us, and we moved to Eugene, Oregon for 5 years.
Wow.
We were in Oregon. I was working in this bar in South Eugene, and my Monday wing night, usually the slowest night of the week, got busier than Saturday night. And we just couldn't keep wings in the place. I just found that I was really good at making hot sauces for these wings. And
my God, that's brilliant.
It got to where we would have 300 people there, and we would go through all the wings by 7 o'clock.
Jesus.
Over and over. My fans, I had a fan group. People would only come just for my wings. And I started feeling guilty when they would show up and there would be no wings. So I started having what I called wing parties at my house, where I would have some of these people that were such big fans. I would have them come to my house, and I would try out new sauces. And they wanted me to open my own wing place. I said, well, why don't I start with the sauce? And we knew we didn't want to stay in Eugene anymore. I called the old restaurant I had worked at and said, hey, can I make hot sauce in the ops in your closed time? And they said, yeah, get here now.
Oh, I do have to interject. You've started this hot sauce stuff, and I bought some of your stuff online knowing you after I reconnected. And it was, what's unique about your hot sauces, Spike's, I forgot the name of the hot sauce. What is it again? Spike's?
Irish Spike's Unique Hot Sauces.
Irish Spike's Unique Hot Sauces. They're just flavorful hot sauce. It's not like the typical, because I used to eat something called Dave's Insanity, the hottest hot sauce in the world, and Da Bomb, off that little guy that has these famous people on there, and they eat 10 hot wings, and by the time they get to Da Bomb, they're like vomiting and sweating, and they can't. So, what you think of the last movie? They're like, they'll give up everything.
Training goes right out the window.
Yeah, all their acting training is and so yours actually had flavor. But when I first bought, I'm not gonna lie, the sounds of the like pineapple cherry, just like what the hell. But I don't know what all the flavors you have, but when I tasted, I'm like, this is actually really good. And I was impressed. So I bought more until now I'm to the point that I can't eat hot sauce because I'm too old and my stomach is a mess. And I even ate ketchup now and I'm like sweating like an old man. I'm like, oh my God. Like even Frank's. By
the way, we came out with our first ketchup last year.
What? You have ketchup? Yeah. And it's flavorful?
Porcini mushroom, which is what you use in an Italian meat sauce to bolster meat flavor.
Ooh, that sounds good.
A roasted red pepper, so I wouldn't have to add so much sugar, because to me, ketchup is like tomato candy. It's not good. It's overly sweet. So I thought put some roasted red pepper in there so that it'll balance things out a little bit. You still get some sweetness. And then tomato, of course.
So my question is, have you ever eaten a Carolina Reaper or the Ghost Peppers? Has your taste gone away, or you still have, like, you don't have sinus problems, you can still taste everything you cook?
I can still taste everything. I don't do those really. I mean, I'm making one right now, but I don't like making them. I've got a couple that are hotter, but I always try and inject flavor. We've got one called Pirate's Vacation, which is pineapple, mango, and banana jerk.
Oh, now I know what your stuff tastes like, so it sounds delicious now. But if I would have first heard that, not knowing, I'm like, what the hell is he doing? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good sauce. I can eat that one, and it's not. I brought it to right at the line where as a person who cooked for a living, I don't feel comfortable blowing out someone's food. If I add a flavor in there, and I completely just mask it with heat, then I've done both of us a disservice.
So when you were going through your cooking stage, like in the co-op, and you were cooking and you kept watching the television shows, what was your wife thinking? Like, was she supportive, or was like, what the hell are you thinking, hot sauce? Or did she taste it and say, and everyone noticed? And when they started coming people over, like, at what point did she buy in, or was there ever a time when she was like questioning your thought process with the hot sauce and the business?
I mean, she questioned it because she's not a hot sauce fan.
Oh, gotcha.
So, but she saw the following I was getting, and they were all these people were coming to our house, because I kept
loyal people, yeah,
at my house, yeah, and so she saw like this thing happening, and just got on board. She was, I mean, credit to her, she just jumped on board.
Choo choo.
She eats hot sauce every day.
That's funny.
She doesn't eat the super hot stuff.
Yeah.
And it's good because most of our sauces end up being mild to medium, a few medium hots.
I might try some mild stuff from you then, because the stuff I bought from you, I have like 6 bottles left, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so hot. But even medium to me is like, oh my God. I don't think you have a problem with your actual hot sauce or the labeling, but I think for advertising for you, if you can just get people to taste your hot sauce, you've won them over, and that's the hard part. How do you get out and get people to taste it? You just go to fairs, or what is up in Idaho like?
Well, we did Comic-Con last weekend.
What? They have a Comic-Con up there?
Yeah. And then also I go to grocery stores and I sample, and we make a lot of fans that way.
Oh, you just have like a little table and you say, try my hot. Do you have a wing there? Or you just have a carrot, or what do you do for tasting?
Just little chips.
Oh, chips.
We just serve it on chips.
And so at Comic Con, you just had to rent a table and people would just come up and taste it and maybe buy some bottles.
Yep.
That's cool.
We did 2 days. I wore a bright red suit and I had a big giant red top hat. I looked like an idiot.
Like one of those circus people in the center. That's cool. Yeah.
What'd you say? Say that again.
It reminds me of one of those people in the center of the circus, the guy that's running the circus. Like, over to the left, we have, the showman. Yeah. So the red.
So, it was Comic-Con. I just wanted to dress up silly. Helen dressed up like the Queen of Hearts, which is one of our new sauces.
That's cool. So you're able to sell there? That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll have near 40 sauces by the end of the year.
Jesus. And then was it difficult for you to start a business up in Idaho just arriving?
No. It was a lot of research on how to properly bottle. A lot of people don't do the actual research. They just start bottling hot sauce and they do it wrong. But we took a lot of extra time to make sure we were doing everything exactly right.
For the state, legally, a health department?
The state standards are pretty easy. It's the FDA standards that are hard, and we wanted to make sure we met them. So we worked very hard to make sure everything is.
Wow, I never even thought. I thought the state would be, but the Federal Drug Administration, the FDA, is like strict on. I didn't think they would be involved.
Well, it depends on the state. So when we were in Washington, I don't. Either way is fine. But when we were in Washington, we were bottling just over the border in Washington at first. And we had 2 people come down from Spokane, from the Department of Agriculture, and they did like a 2-hour interview. And it was really good for us because we were able to make sure all of our ducks were in a row. And then we came to Idaho. We're bottling at a restaurant in Idaho, and I called them up, and they're like, well, if the FDA is regulating you, then we don't need to. That's how Idaho works. Idaho is
nice
cowboy in that way. And I just said, okay. So we had already gotten our ducks in a row. I think I would prefer it the other way. I like that 2-hour interview because there's too many people that are the cowboy hot sauce and they do it. What I don't like to call it. I do call backyard hot sauce. It's not safe. And they'll sell it in stores.
Oh my God.
Pretend it's good enough. And, the FDA is there for a reason. I totally respect what they do and try and abide by everything that they say. So yeah, it's too loosey-goosey.
And just to let any law enforcement or agricultural department people know that Irish Spike's hot sauce does follow the law and is very serious about. You sounded like you were totally like.
As a cook who worked really hard to make sure that I had the highest standards in my kitchen.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about making our sauces. We have to have the.
Oh my God! Now you sound German. There will be no one without gloves in the kitchen. There will be no speaking, no smiling. This is hot sauce time. So how did you you just told me you started bottling at someone's business, like a restaurant in the back at night or something. Did you have any machines, or you just started, you and your daughter and your wife started pouring it into bottles yourself with funnels, or how did it work?
Yeah, we bought a beer kettle. It's a big kettle and it has a spout at the bottom. And you heat it to above 180, actually 190, and then you hold it above 180 and bottle hot, and you invert it to sterilize everything on the inside, and then you label it later on, and that's what we did.
So
just me and my wife, we would do it at 4 a.m.
Jesus.
Before the restaurant would open up.
So you have to, not the bottles themselves getting hot, but the actual hot sauce itself in the kettle would get to 180, 190. You'd keep it there. And then did you have to clean the bottles out, or does that even matter?
They show up in a way that's standard for you to be able to use.
Okay, they're clean. You're not getting them off used Coke bottles.
No, we buy them from a bottle company.
Is that from China, or do you save money or do you do local?
We buy them through a place in Seattle, but they're getting them from Belize.
What? That's crazy. You just don't think of, the countries they come from. Like, I don't know, bottles came from Belize. That's
from the East Coast, because there was no bottle companies near us, and the ones that came from the East Coast showed up like a quarter of them were broken. It was
oh Jesus, it's not worth it. Yeah,
they came through on the ship in a much better, through Seattle in a much better condition. So that's where
and every bottle counts. Like it's all money. So that, yeah, you're going for bulk at that point. And then how do you get your ingredients? Are you still using the co-op and getting food from there, or how do you get your vegetables and
from all over? Our peppers come from Tennessee, Magic Plant Farms. They're the best.
My awesome. God, you're using top quality stuff then.
They're really good people. And then we get our spices from various different places. I'm picky about my spices, but if you get all your spices from one place, then it tends to like one's going to be great and the next one won't. So you want to, kind of pick the different places to get your spices from.
So it sounds like a top notch. Like I never thought about cooking. I just thought some person trying to save money and just going down and buying a ton of stuff from Walmart. Literally a ton. You have a whole pickup truck full of stuff, and your RAV4 is like lettuce is falling out the windows. And so, do you have
a lot of stuff from our local Winco? Great, but like vinegar and stuff.
Yeah, simple stuff.
It's great to get it from there. They take really good care of us.
Never even heard of Winco. Is that like a Walmart subsidiary, or what is that?
It's a big grocery store chain. I'm surprised you've never heard of Winco.
That's a Northwest thing. I've never heard of it. Yeah, I lived up in Washington State and Oregon. And
West Coast thing. Oh, they're all over in the Washington, Oregon, California. They're all over the place.
But then again, I haven't been out there for years, and so it's not like things haven't popped up in the last 30 years.
They're, I think, employee owned, which means the employees are part of the ownership along with ownership. I don't know how it works with them, but that's how it works. They're real cheap groceries, sometimes cheap quality, so you got to be careful what you get. But overall, pretty decent, and so we'll get stuff from them, and then we'll get stuff from, we have orders coming online, and we have a distributor who brings us stuff through the restaurant we work in. And just a lot of different places.
And so you started the business at the back of this restaurant. You have brought in a bunch of bottles. You started making the sauces. You started putting them in there. You put the stuff in there, and then do you have a cap machine that actually puts a cap on it, or is it screw on, or how does that work?
Oh, no, we do it ourselves. We put the cap on, we invert it, we put them in these things called fast racks. It's actually for beer, but it's basically has a hole for the bottle for you to turn it upside down so they can sterilize the inside while it's hot. Then you turn them back up the regular way, put them in the thing, and we have a label machine.
Oh, you have a machine, and it's sticky adhesive, and it just does it for you, or do you have to put the labels on yourself?
You drop the labels come on rolls, and you just drop the bottle on there, and it rolls it, and you take it off.
My God! And this is my question: how much did this machinery cost?
I mean, that machine was pretty cheap. The first one we got was, I think, $900.
Good God!
It's not cheap, but
so $900 for that. The kettle cost $1,200, let's say, for the beer thing.
No, the kettle cost us $100.
Oh my gosh. And so then the label machine, $900, and then that bottle thing where it turns it upside down, how much did that cost?
Oh, that's $11.
Oh, what? That's it?
Yeah. It's just a plastic rack.
You guys didn't have to go to the bank then and pull out a loan for the business?
No.
Okay, cool.
We saved up for it to start it out. And
because in my mind, like, my God, if I tried to start my family practice and I didn't because the 2020 thing hit, a little virus hit us. My wife said, no, hold off. We don't know what's going to happen. And thank God I did. But it's about $24,000 for me to start a family practice with 3 rooms and paying people until the first 6 months when Medicaid and Medicare starts kicking in and the insurance companies. But you didn't have that. Like you spent the money, and how long did it take before you started seeing a turnaround to pay everything?
About 1.5 to 2 years.
Oh, dang, it took some patience then. Were you still
a loan or two from friends and family?
That's cool.
At one point, but it they were small, very, very small loans.
And this is a weird question because I ended up, one of my comedy routines I did stand up at the comedy club was that I had the unfortunate, I had some Dave's Insanity hot sauce left over, and I had just eaten chili the night before, so my stomach was tore up. I ended up getting some on my finger, and my ears have eczema in them. They're always itching. I took my finger with the Dave's Insanity. I wasn't eating. I was just cleaning it off, and somehow on my finger, put it in my ear, so it's like burning like hell. And so there's only 3 things that'll take away that oil pain: sugar, alcohol, and dairy products. So I didn't have any sugar. My wife's on a vegan kick at the time. We didn't have any milk, so that wasn't going to work for the dairy. All I had left was my son's bottle of Jack Daniels, a great big bottle, like the largest you can get. I'm going over the sink, trying to pour it in my ear. Then it goes in my eyes. I'm screaming in pain. My wife comes into the kitchen, and at that moment, I crap myself. It's going down my legs. Just a mess. Just like, you can't even talk about stuff like this because no one will ever believe you. And it's just like, people like to laugh at my the bad things that happened to me in life, like unfortunate events, trauma, whatever. And so it was one of my routines, and the audience loved it, but I'm like in my mind, like, oh, I have to really relive this hellish. And so my question for you is, not that you got it in your ear, did you ever get any hot sauce or anyone in your family get it in their eyes when your guys are making it?
Oh yeah, I've gotten it in my eyes. So the worst thing isn't that though, because that lasts a few minutes, and then you wash your eye out. It's not the
because water doesn't help. You got to get milk or something. Yeah.
And we've gotten Carolina Reaper. I've gotten Carolina Reaper in my eyes.
Jesus, that sounds painful. That's the hottest.
A few minutes of it is, but the worst really is when you mace yourself, because every time you clean a pot, you hit it.
Oh my God! And it comes back up.
Yeah, it's awful because it aerosolizes and you end up inhaling it. So the whole room is unbreathable for a few minutes. I've got a little trick for, I'll put it in the dishwasher and then run the dishwasher and let it sit for about 5 minutes, and that loosens everything up, and then I spray everything off.
Okay, I'm not going to lie to you. I was going through college. I had to work in a pharmacy. I went from ICU to pharmacy because I figured, being in medicine, that I could learn some stuff in the pharmacy. And I had to make this tack solution. So the pharmacist would go get the pure cocaine, 100% grade proof pure cocaine, and then I have to mix other stuff with it. And so I had this mortar and pestle, like this little bowl that you grind stuff in, like for food. So I'm going to wash it off in the sink, and I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I blew into the bowl because there was a bunch of powder in there because I didn't want to get it all mushy in the water. And it went right back into my face. And I breathed in, of course. So I had taken in Coke from the bowl that went into my face. So I immediately started panicking. My heart started racing about 150, 180 beats per minute. I immediately went and told the 2 pharmacists, the head pharmacist and the other person working with him. And I already talk fast from Southern California, right? And so I'm like, oh my God, I just took the cocaine. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And so they just had me go back to work. And at the end of the day, they said, Nicholas, we want you taking cocaine every day. We've never got a better day's work out of you. But I was so scared. I was Johnny on the spot. I was like running over like that squirrel from Ice Age, like Scrat or whatever his name is. I was like running, zing, 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 zing. I was getting the meds, I was counting them perfectly. I was like sweating. I'm like talking really quick. Okay, guys, we got something to count on number 3. I need to count 2. There's 2 people at the window. We got to go, go, go. And they were like just slow motion. Like, remember that squirrel on Over the Hedge where that squirrel's like drinking the Mountain Dew? That was me that day. Anyways, I was just thinking, like, me you getting the hot sauce and me getting the cocaine, not the same, but just one of those foibles. And yeah, I was just so scared of Jesus. Yeah, just like the stupid things you do in life, and just like mess. And so the Carolina Reaper, dang, you guys are dealing with some hot stuff. And the restaurant's cool. You work at that restaurant then, where you're bottling?
So we started working. It's a place I used to be the sous chef of. Is where we started. It's called Birch and Barley in Pullman, Washington. And then probably 3 or 4 months later, the person who was part owner of that restaurant was also owner of another restaurant in Moscow, where we lived. And he had a hot sauce. And he said, "Do you want to come run this hot sauce and yours and just bottle all of them?"
Oh my God, that's awesome!
And it's a breakfast restaurant, so they close at 2. So we just bottle in the evening. We've been doing it ever since. Now we've merged companies. We're partners in the company together. And so, yeah, it's worked out very well. I've been very, very lucky.
My God, everything has come to line the stars have come in alignment with you. This is awesome.
And I mean, my partners are the best people in the world. They're just really, you become the people you're around. I'm very happy to become the people they are. You know, they say water seeks its own level.
And this is my stereotype of, once again, Idaho, those good, wholesome American people that are just nice and you trust. And that's why I remember had a relative up there that lived in a college town that they didn't lock their doors up in Idaho. It was just one of those common things. It's just so safe up there. Do you still find that to be true?
A lot of people that don't, but I mean, I know a lot of people that do lock their doors. It's, I think, a different era now.
Yeah, that's the truth. 20 years ago, a little different, but you're from California and you have those fears of, just the people.
Yeah.
Big city. I just always looking. Yeah.
When we were in Spokane last week, I had to remind myself, we're in Spokane, we're in a big city, and people will break in your car.
Well, that's actually crime statistically is, because I was moving up there, retiring, because it's super cheap. But at the same time, the crime statistics around that Spokane area, big cities always have more crime. Whereas Moscow is what, 15,000 people, 2,000 people, a little less?
I think it fluctuates because of the college, and also right over the border in Pullman, there's another bigger college. So, probably 50. It goes from 15,000 to 50,000. I mean, it just
wow. So I just thought of this. When I was doing this Go Ruck thing, or some special thing in the military where you go out and spend like 24, 48, or 72 hours straight exercising to the point. It's what the SF guys do. So I was running a Go Ruck up in Alaska. College towns are perfect things to make money off that, where guys are like young bravado, like, dude, we're going to go out. That would be a perfect place for you to take your hot sauce. I was thinking a college out front, just having them taste hot sauce, and like having a hot sauce challenge, who could eat the hottest stuff, like the little guy with the wings. Like, these college kids would do that. They're young, they're impetuous, they don't think about consequences of, I may eat so much hot stuff.
We just did one with Coach Jack, the head coach of the Idaho Vandals football team.
What? That's awesome.
A month and a half ago, we did a challenge with him. It's on YouTube.
That's cool. So what did you have, the football players?
It was just him.
Oh, whoa.
It was just him.
So you and him were like eating hot wings, and the levels kept going up?
No, the college had, or the university had their video team set it up, and they had a guy interview him and ask questions. It was just like Hot Ones, and they went through, but all the hot sauces were made by us.
Oh, that's awesome. So it didn't have the problem with it. Oh, that's what I was going to ask you. The problem with that stuff you're talking about, the gummy gum, the gluten. No, what was it called? You said that
xanthan gum.
Xanthan gum. And give me a little history why, like, it's considered taboo, like by some, like the.
I have no idea. I genuinely don't know what their issue is with xanthan gum. So a lot of hot sauce companies have an issue with xanthan gum. They say no gums, and I have no idea what the issue is. I think it's just a thing. It's like a selling point. They say it, and people go, "Oh, that's bad." Except that most of the products they're eating has it in there. It's not.
They're selectively choosing what xanthan gum they want to eat. That's funny.
Well, it's the same. It's xanthan gum everywhere. It's just, I guess you're talking about the product, but it's, it is. People have more issues with peppers in general, way more than xanthan gum. So I have no idea what the issue is with that in the hot sauce industry. It just seems absolutely ridiculous. I'm more worried about sodium benzoate or potassium sorbate, those kind of things in hot sauce.
Yeah.
That is an issue.
And why would you say those are an issue? For health, or just spicy, or?
Yeah, they are genuinely health issues. They have health issues. And they're in many store-bought hot sauces. So if you see those, I stay away from those.
I didn't know that. Repeat those two things.
It just sodium benzoate and potassium sorbate. Those are preservatives. I'd be more worried about
gotcha.
Preservatives than xanthan gum. Xanthan is not going to do that much to you. Certainly not anything worse than any of the peppers in there or any of the spices.
Which I find so ironic. Like, now that I know so much more and become more aware, educated, I guess you'd say, Like in the 70s, they had this thing called gluten, and the chains of gluten in the 70s were like 7 chains. And now we have this processed food by Monsanto and all these companies that make it 126 chains. So now people are more sensitive and their bodies can't break down these 126 chains. And that's why we have gluten allergies now where we never did in the 70s. And so people are all worried about.
A friend who, it's not like that in Europe as much. It's mostly like that here.
Yeah, if you go to Vietnam, there is no you if you can catch it, that's what your meal is. You know what I'm saying? Cooking and rice and whatever is fresh. Yeah. It's more wholesome. It's not processed, is what we call it. That's why Americans have a 20% higher chance of cancer than any other place because our processed foods are killing us. All of the, like you said, the stuff they put in the hot sauce. But if you really look at, forget the foods, the water alone. There was some lady in California. There was a movie, Aaron Brockovich type thing. Well, there's 32 cities in America that have more than that city did. And that was like 20, 30 years ago that movie was made. And those people died. And like Boston, Massachusetts have the highest level of that stuff. And people just drink the water. And we don't even, Flint, Michigan had a little more problems with the water. So we're aware of it. But people just like, oh, that's only Flint. And we drink our water daily. And it's just, we have so much poison around us, like that Teflon stuff. So if you get paranoid, I'm like, it'll probably kill us. But if you were to live somewhere else in the world, you'd probably live longer. Like Indians from India.
In an area that had, I don't remember a lot. I think it was and may still be the biggest toxic waste spill in U.S. history. It's oh gosh, now I'm blanking on it.
Pennsylvania or Idaho?
No, Southern California.
What?
So it was a leak. It wasn't a spill. It was a leak. And so we lived next to some hills, and you could go into the hills when I was young, and there would be streams, and you could see foam on the banks.
And so you're saying that's bad? The foam from the river is bad. The green foam bubbling.
Yeah. It was genuinely green. And so, yeah, it was awful. And it was right. I mean, it was a block from my elementary school.
Jesus.
And yeah, it was awful. It shouldn't have been there.
Hence the twitch. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
My God. Yeah, the thing, oh my God, I'm not going to tell you. I was in the military. We had asbestos at every place I've ever been. And over in Iraq, they had these burn pits where they would just burn plastic, blood, everything. We would just breathe it. I'd run by it every day. I'm like, cough a little bit. I'm like, I wonder if this is going to hurt me. We knew it was going to hurt us, but yeah, what do? You sacrifice yourself for different things in life. And for food, it's worth it. You get a good wing. Because I'm not going to lie to you. I don't remember chicken wings that big of a thing in the 70s. Like when we were kids, like, let's go get some chicken wings. And now it is legit. Chicken wings are it. They have restaurants just on.
I do a wing night at a local restaurant every month.
My God, that's awesome. And so like people show up just for that?
Oh, yeah.
So you're not only a hot sauce person, you're also a cook still?
Well, I don't do the wings myself. I put together the wing specials. And then I just show up because now I'm kind of people come in, they talk to me and I'm wearing a suit.
Oh, dang.
I'm the monkey in the front and it's fun. It's just a little pop-up we do.
Wow. You're like legit suit and everything. Like yeah.
I'm the monkey in the front. That's what I am.
Hey, anything to make money though. And you're able to make money off it. So that sounds legit. And so you have a partner now that has the company and then you share that. Do you cook at you don't cook at their restaurant in the mornings? Like you don't do anything like that?
I don't cook at all anymore.
No. Okay. So you're out of that business.
Yeah.
And you mentioned your daughter, actually, your 20-year-old daughter.
My feet can't handle being on. I used to do 14-hour, 15-hour days.
Jesus.
My daughter, she does. She runs our mail room and she preps our hot sauce for us and sometimes bottles as well.
Now, when you say mail room, is that at that business place or is that at your house, or do you actually nothing's at your house?
Nothing's at the house. So
interesting.
It's at the business, and we at the breakfast restaurant. She'll do the mail downstairs in the morning, and then we'll take that off to the to send off hot sauces, and then in the afternoon when the restaurant closes, she preps the hot sauce, and then we bottle it in the evening.
Preps? Do you mean like heat it up or sprinkle it with cinnamon, or what do you mean by preps?
puts together the spices, and it depends on the sauce what's being done, but puts together the spices, adds the vinegar, gets it all mixed up, gets it into the pot, starts it heating, and then the crew comes in and bottles it at the same time every day about 4 o'clock.
What do you mean the crew? Your family, or do you hire people?
We have I think 10 employees.
Holy crap! This is a big company.
I mean, that's not big, but it's...
This isn't just you and your family in the basement making this stuff like in the midnight hour and a candle. This is like 10 employees. This is like a business. Wow.
Yeah, no, we've got thousands of bottles that go out. I think we sent out something like 125,000 bottles last year. Something like that.
What the are you kidding? Wow.
And that's very small compared to a lot of other companies.
Oh my God, I wasn't joking around about the jet. You are a millionaire. Good God. Spike, Irish Spike.
I still live in an apartment, man. I'm not in nowhere near.
Yeah, the apartment is called a penthouse overlooking the countryside of Idaho. Oh my gosh, I didn't. Wow.
It's really nice to get to that level. We joke about having the hot sauce shaped mansion on the hill,
hot shops
on Moscow Mountain, but it's not. We're not there.
Because think about the people from high school, or you're in your youth and your teens and 20s. Like, I feel I've made it. Me and my wife, we've been married 20 years now, and the house we have is like legit, and we have cars and the toys I have. Like, yeah, I can't think of anyone from. You're probably the richest person I know then, like, because it kind of made it with me.
I can tell you that we have at least you were only in our high school for a short
split second, yeah, a year or two.
But there are quite a few people that went on to really do some amazing things. I know one person that is the showrunner for the Tonight Show.
What?
That was was part of the team that helped the president. Well, I don't know if he helped the vice president get elected a few times before I think he was a part of the last election. And I know somebody else that is that does the drum tech for Bad Religion, and I think he's on tour with Linkin Park right now. We've got a lot of really talented people. I just got off the phone with a friend from high school that is a really pretty well-known photographer in Southern California, and it's nice to see. It's nice to see a lot of people that have gone on to become really successful. I'm way down there.
No, you're not. You did really well, because those people don't make that much. Like, you are like a business owner. I just always think that you can either make it or break it. Most businesses shut in the first year. 90% of all businesses fold, and you've kept it going. I'm like, wow. How many years now have you been in the hot sauce Irish Spikes?
It'll be 5 years in October.
Dang, you started, 2018, right before did the COVID hit you guys at all? Hurt the business?
Not really, because when everything closed down, we were still able to bottle and send out hot sauce. So if anything, it might have helped us a little. I don't like to say that because it was mostly the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, it didn't change very much for us. We just kept right on bottling hot sauce. We wore masks. That was the only difference.
Oh, when you're making it, or just around? Like, was Idaho pretty strict, or?
No, Idaho was not, but our town was.
Oh, that's funny.
For Idaho, I would say our town, if you're using politics, Idaho is very, very red. Moscow is blue to purple.
What? That's funny.
So it's a nice mix, because people have to treat each other better than they do in the rest. That's one of the reasons why it's such a great town. So when people have, for the most part, there's a couple elements that are not as good. But for the most part, our little town, people, even when we have different political views, treat each other pretty well.
My views, because I was in the military for 27 years, and I grew up in Southern California, moved to Arkansas, and I had different, I don't know, I'm red and blue. I'm purple, I guess. It sounds kind of weird when I say that, because I think of some throbbing, like, but I own guns, probably because the military, probably too many guns. I was just in medical. I don't know anything about guns. I just own them to protect myself and the family. And then I believe I'm red on the border. I'm red about, there's just certain things I'm a little more conservative about. But when it comes to like women's rights, like to get an abortion if she's raped, I think so I'm blue with that. I'm blue with like Medicaid. I want to help people that are poor and give them medical. So sometimes I give for my private business. I'll help people that can't afford it and I'll do medical stuff for them. So it's hard for me to just be put in a box, like to either watch Fox or MSNBC. Like I kind of do, I'm just purple, I guess is the best way to put it. Cause I just want people to get along, come to the middle and get things done. And rather than just fight and pout like fifth graders. And it's just so hard to, I don't know, the world is as messy as it is. I'm like, Jesus, I'm not, remember in your 20s, how you were all vital, like I don't know if you wore peace signs or what you did, or you were just in your 20s, you're more vigorous, whether it be religion or going out to doors and knocking on, you need to change. And you just see these people in the 50s and 60s just giving you a blank look and closing the door. Now I realize I'm at that age. I'm like, oh my God, these people have too much energy. Calm down, young people. You're not going to make a difference. You hate to tear their walls down. Like you're like, boy, if you sell Girl Scouts today, you're not going to Girl Scout cookies. You're not going to change the world. But did your girls ever do any of that stuff? Sell Girl Scout cookies?
Yeah, my oldest did. Yeah.
So you sell 1,000 boxes of Girl Scout cookies. She'll end up with a T-shirt. You as the parent are suffering through, and all your friends and connections, you're selling these Girl Scout cookies, Thin Mints and all that, and Samoans. And all of a sudden she ends up like with a minuscule price. So they're making bank off these kids. However, in Colorado, there is an advantage, and I find this unethical completely. These little Girl Scouts and the moms will go out in front of these shops that sell marijuana. And these marijuana people have the munchies. And so they end up buying way too much cookies. And so I always thought that's not fair. You're like preying on the weak, wounded animal who can't even drive right now because he's so high. And he'll buy like 20 boxes that he can't afford. But he just sees the munchies in front of him. Do they even allow the marijuanas up there?
No.
No?
Not Idaho. It's Idaho. Right over the border.
When you say border, which like state? Washington State, I guess, is a little more blue?
Yeah, Washington State, marijuana is legal.
And so if you were to carry some of that legal stuff back to Idaho, you'd be in trouble then?
I mean, I think technically, but I don't think the cops care about it.
That's not a big drug they're worried about, like, we got a bust here of an ounce? Yeah, they're not really looking for it.
And I don't smoke pot anyway. I've been sober for 30 years, so.
30 years, my God.
My things, so.
Yeah, I can't do any alcohol or marijuana or anything because I have this heart, and I take meds, and I have had 2 strokes, and marijuana will bring down my medication, the Coumadin, the blood thinner, and I don't want to die. I'm not going to die of a marijuana. Like, yeah, that scares me. So I'm like perfectly clean, but I joke around a lot. So that's why I use satire on the podcast to make sure people are aware that if I were to say anything that I did, it was just a joke. Come on, people have a sense of humor, albeit maybe a wry sense of humor. You just see so many people die in the ICU, the burn unit, the ER, that you just get hardened. And so now I tell people I love dogs more than people per se. I like, number one, my dogs. I will die for the dogs in the street, not even mine. I will run in front of a car to save it. And then number 2, kids that got hurt or abused in the ER. It really, really bothered me. I'd cry, and I'd go home and, really think about it. And then women, number 3 in the ER, that really bothers me because they're innocent. And then most women don't ask for abuse. And then men, I'm like, they know when they're going 100 miles per hour down the highway on 1 foot in a wheelie on a motorcycle that they're going to get hurt. And so it's like, what were you thinking, guy? Like, yeah. So you just start to, after seeing hundreds and hundreds of people get hurt, you're like, I can't even make these stories up. Like, what were you thinking? But people do stuff. When you were young, you did crazy stuff, I bet. And
oh, yeah.
When is
I was an idiot.
Now that you guys are millionaires, what is the best vacation? Granted, I didn't say billion. I said million.
A 2-bedroom apartment, but
the penthouse, so when is your maid coming? Do I need to get off here? So my question for you is, what's the best vacation you guys have ever been on, with the kids or without? Doesn't matter. Like, where's the best vacation you can remember?
Just going up to Washington State, and when we were living in Eugene, we went and visited Seattle, and it was just a really nice vacation. Just the family spending time together. It was wonderful. Oh, and we went to Bellingham, and I love Bellingham. We actually almost moved there. It was either Moscow or Bellingham.
Really?
Right.
What was the attraction to Bellingham? Because that was the Navy Yard.
Little town. Just a beautiful little town. I love that town.
Because I lived in Bremerton, which I think is right around the corner. I remember as a kid, Bellingham was really close. But are you like
small, sweet, not too far from the bigger city? You know, you're an hour south and you're in Seattle. But overall, you know, still somewhat small, but not too small. I just genuinely liked it there.
I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to stereotype you from your youth and me knowing you when you were younger. I'm going to go out on a limb and say you are a coffee addict. Do you like Starbucks? Are you a big coffee drinker?
I was but I don't. The caffeine affects me, and so I drink a half a cup of coffee, a half cap every day.
So you do drink coffee, okay? I wasn't. You drink it. You're just not an addict like I thought. I thought you'd be like to jump up in the mornings.
I've had my times when I did that.
Yeah.
No, I don't do that anymore.
I don't drink coffee at all. I just never. Didn't like the taste. Hot chocolate I can do, but. And then, do you have any is hot sauce your life, or do you have any do you watch TV? Do you have television shows? Do you guys play with the kids? Like, what is your hobby pastime? Like, do you guys go to the movies? Do you darts? Are you into lawn bocce ball? What's it called? Oh my gosh, cornhole.
Oh, I know you're talking about. No, I don't do any of that stuff. I work a lot.
Your life is your job.
The hours a week. But I do, and you could consider this a hobby, do this thing called the hot sauce games.
The what? The hot sauce games?
Hot sauce games, yeah. We do. We get people from the community. It's teams of 2, and they do these silly challenges. It's not like who can eat the hottest thing. It's like get the habanero on the table from the furthest distance. The table's a little tiny table, and we're outside, and they have to throw it, and it bounces off the table every time.
Oh, that sounds cool. Like an Olympics, but with hot sauce. That's cool.
Yeah, we film it, and we do 3 challenges in a finale, and we've got our logo is basically like a skull version of my head. You've seen it; it's on the side of our
Yeah, that's funny.
I had somebody 3D print one, giant, full size, so it's actual the size of my head, and that's the trophy. We give that out.
Oh my God, that is so cool.
And we I make a one-of-a-kind hot sauce, so we go shopping together, the winner and we go and make the hot sauce together.
Oh, that would be cool. So I'm going to ask you a question that no one's ever asked you this in your entire life, and this is going to be a really weird question off the wall here. I don't want to offend you, so I apologize.
Okay.
What is your spirit animal? Like if you had a favorite animal.
Probably the red-tailed hawk.
You don't have a pet red-tailed hawk, do you?
No. So when I was in California, there was a little hill by our house, and I remember just before we moved cross country for me to go to grad school, I would climb that hill, and I climbed the hill one day with my wife, and it was pouring rain. Like as we were about a quarter of the way up, it just was pouring rain, and we went through it, and it stopped raining by the time we got to the top, and there were about 6 or 7 red-tailed hawks circling at that point, and it was just beautiful. And ever since then, I've just kind of had a connection with red-tailed hawks.
Oh my God, this sounds like a total peyote moment for like the Indians. Like we climbed the hill. And the hawks, I will now call you Red-tailed Hawk. We bonded with the red-tailed. That's a cool story. I love dogs. That's simple for me. I don't know why. Like I've always liked dogs, but now
that would be my second choice right there. Would be a dog. I've always been a dog person.
But now
suit and tails, a tux and tails. Walk into the most formal place, and if they had a little puppy, I'd be on the floor rolling with the puppy. I wouldn't give a crap about the people.
Oh, I always open my arms, my eyes get big. I go to a softer voice. I love you, and the dogs just know I love them. I can't. I'm not a dog whisperer, but dogs know I love them. I'm one of those friendly type people, and I'm. Oh my god, every pit bulls. I don't care what kind of dog it is. I love all dogs now, and I just look at dogs with like I have dog calendars, not pictures of kids and my wife, and I have a picture of my stupid little Chihuahua in my office. Like I love this stupid little dog because we rescued her and she got hit by a car, and the vet said $7,000 right now, or we put her down. I'm like, I was just about to get open heart surgery, and I'm not allowed about this dog to be put down because I could just see them putting me down at the Mayo Clinic. I'm like, no, I'm not, no. And so, and I think she realized I saved her because she's bonded with me now. And anyone that comes up to touch me, she will kill. She thinks she's a Rottweiler. She's a fucking demon. Yeah, Chihuahuas are not nice dogs. They're little demons, but I love them. What would you say, weird question, I don't want to offend you once again, but if I gave you $1 million, where's one place you would never go back to and you would just turn down the $1 million? What's the one place that you just do not like, that even if you were paid $1 million, you would not go there?
That's a tough question.
California, Massachusetts, Oklahoma.
I don't think there's anywhere like that.
So you like everywhere you've ever been? You've been pretty kosher with.
I don't like. I don't always like things, but I'm really good at staying positive and finding the good in the place that I'm at. Now, if you had asked me, $1 million to go to a place in my life, that there are a few of those. But,
so, what would you say is the worst year of your life then?
Worst year of my life. The year I got sober was pretty bad.
Like trying to become sober, like quitting and stuff. It was hard.
Yeah, that was rough.
And did you know your wife at that
There's
time?
Another year that I'll skip that, but there's another year that I would probably pick as well. But I
did you know her before you partied, or were you clean when you met her?
I was clean when I met her.
Oh, that's good, because that would have been a harsh. You know what I'm saying? Like, wow, what's the best year of your life?
Best year, probably the last year's been pretty darn good. I mean, I got to make a hot sauce with my culinary hero. Are you kidding me?
That would be cool.
It was amazing. It was amazing to be able to do that. He's such a nice guy. So great. I really enjoyed.
What was his name again?
And then, it's Alton Brown, the guy from Good Eats.
Huh. Yeah. That's amazing. How did he hook up with you? Like, did you write him, or what happened? Like,
his wife had done a label for us about 2 years before, and I hadn't talked to him, but we'd gone to see him live. I didn't get a chance to talk to him then. It was during COVID, so I think he very
limited, yeah.
And then she contacted me and said, Alton really likes your sauces, because I'd been sending it to him and wants to do a hot sauce with you.
What? He called you. That's awesome.
Running across the hall to my wife, and I'm like, I don't even know how to do this. This is, and then this last 3 months ago, we came out with a hot sauce. So this is why this last year's been so great. We came out with one of my favorite bands, is a band called The Kills. And the lead singer, her name's Alison Mosshart. I just love that band. And they've been around, I think, 20 years now.
I think I've heard of them on the gospel circuit. Yeah, they're really popular. No, just kidding.
She also was the lead singer for one of Jack White's bands, the Dead Weather. I like The Kills. The Kills is my
spirit band.
Dead Weather. Anyway, she did a label for us.
That's cool.
The Queen of Hearts. She named the label, or the hot sauce, and she did a label, and it's one of my favorite labels we've ever done.
That's awesome.
And so and I got to chat back and forth with her through email, and she's really awesome. I've had some great, things like that. I mean, those are great. Those are like starstruck moments. I've had a lot of those in my life. So that's
cool.
The biggest thing in the world. But just in general with my family and business, it's been really good. There's been some hard times too in the last year, but it's,
What do you think's your proudest accomplishment in your life?
My kids.
Kids being born, or graduating high school, or not ending up in criminal activity, or what do you think?
They are. Yeah, just who they are in general. They're very, very different.
I talked about this with someone else on my podcast, is that my daughter is a straight A student. She got cum laude in high school, cum laude in college. She got accepted into Harvard, but I couldn't afford it. Like, she's a little genius. Whereas my son, she's type A plus. My son is a total type B, like, it's all good, daddy. And like totally relaxed, nothing bothers me, goes hiking, he's totally into nature, totally different people. Raised in the same way. Are your daughters in that regard? Like, what are their traits?
Well, and I shouldn't say daughters. My youngest is trans.
Oh, gotcha.
But so my oldest is just like the responsible one, very detail oriented. She's the one who works at our business, and then my youngest, they are artistic. They just did a.
Well, you are always artistic. Is your wife artistic as well?
Can be, but doesn't like. She'll kind of knock her artistic ability, but I think she's better than she says she is. She doesn't do it for work. She just does things for herself.
I swear to God, you used to draw.
My youngest is like very, very talented, more talented than I ever was at drawing or anything like that. Really, really talented.
Do you think they'll go to like art school or something?
I hope so. We'll see where that goes. They're 17, so they're just.
I'm so impressed that you and your wife are accepting and loving of them and whoever they are. That's impressive, because there's some people in this world that are really mean to their kids and disown them, and yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I probably embarrassed them with how.
Well, what I'm more concerned about, because I never thought, like, you just don't think like your kids are, are they, because you're in a red state, but your town is blue. Are they accepting in the town, or are people mean or anything? No outlash?
There's an element here. There's a church here that is
not as friendly.
No, they're not. But mostly in this town, everybody's very accepting. But there's one church here that worries me. I get worried about them. But they got to live their life. They got to be human beings in the world, and so you just kind of have to.
I heard this prayer once. It was about forgot how the whole thing went, but it basically ends up like, "Dear God, please protect me from your followers," because sometimes they get a little not following like love and kindness and forgiveness, but more hatred and vile. And it just bothers me that people can be mean in this world. But yeah,
it's kind of like that. But what are you gonna do? You just you as a parent, you do the best you can to put them out into the world and to make them prepared.
I'm not gonna lie. Back in the 70s, I was walking to kindergarten in Long Beach, California on my own. We moved to Cyprus when my dad got a big law settlement after the Hells Angels motorcycle accident, whatever. And I was 7 years of age taking care of my little brother that was like 1. I was 8, he was 1 or something. And that was just normal. And my mom was a block parent at the time, which is totally a joke because she was involved in the Hells Angels. And what kid's going to go to a Hells Angels house like for help? And anyways, I don't know. I was talking to someone the other day. Their 12-year-old wanted to walk around the block in Indiana. And she's going through that, what your daughter is. And so she said she didn't even want to let her daughter out of to go alone around the block, because even though it's a closed neighborhood, there's so many weirdos these days, you can't trust anyone. And if you look on those little things that they have an app now on your phone that'll show you who's hurt children, like child molesters, and it really scares me that there's people out there that they've let them out into society again. It scares me. And so, yeah, you ever?
They've always been there. They covered it up a lot before. I mean, they've always been there.
It just wasn't known as much. It just bothers me. I'm like, how could you?
We just have the internet now.
Yeah, you're just more aware and it's more vile. Were you ever worried about your children's safety? Did Idaho ever play a part in that between Bellingham, California, and Idaho? The safety factor?
A little bit, but not much. Everywhere has its thing. We've got a lot of sometimes it can be a little weird to walk down the street and somebody, it doesn't happen often, but when you see somebody walking down the street carrying a high-powered rifle, or
they do that in Idaho? Whoa. That's the scary
Doesn't
part of the
happen
church.
often, but it happens often enough that you feel like, okay, there's a lot of militia, a lot of stuff like that here, and
Oh, hell yeah.
can be unsettling.
Anytime
Idaho's known for the militia.
anytime I see anyone with a big truck with big tires with a flag, I don't care what the fucking flag says. If it's in the back of the truck, there's something up that's no good. It's like one of those things when you hear the word yeehaw and there's a truck and a flag, that's definitely not good. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get in those rural environments, you're like, oh my God. What?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is that, and this is the living in a purple town. It's not really a blue town; it's purple town.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about it. So
It's a mix. That's good.
I don't have any problem with anybody. Like I guess to call a redneck is they call themselves rednecks. I don't like when you pigeonhole somebody like that, but I'll say redneck kind of mentality. A lot of those guys are really good guys and can be just as good to everybody as anybody else. One-on-one, if you're talking politics, they're going to say all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
If you talk one-on-one, they can be the best people to be around.
Sounds like you spent a little time in a prison cell with one of these rednecks. No, just kidding. Like we really got to know each other, and at the heartfelt level.
With like churches like that are constantly preaching hate. And,
Yeah, it just gets brainwashed into them. It's not their fault, but it affects their lives. Yeah.
It's a different level, and that causes some pretty heinous things to happen. So it's two different things.
Yeah, you can't argue with someone that believes that the flat Earth type stuff. Yeah, what are you going to say? Like, no, it's not. Yeah. So here's a question for you.
Exactly.
What's the most embarrassing moment of your life so far? You've lived half of it, so.
Oh gosh, I've done a lot of really embarrassing things.
Let's hear a few of them.
The first thing that jumps to mind,
Yeah.
because I act like an idiot all the time for my business. You know what I mean? But probably the most embarrassing was, oh God, I was just thinking about this the other day, and it wasn't in front of anybody, it was just myself and this one other person on the other line. But I used to take phone calls for Amtrak and schedule people. And this lady called to cancel that she was planning on doing a reservation around the entire country with her husband.
Huh.
And he got dementia.
Oh.
Now, in my brain, mixed up the word dementia with what it would have when you get dizzy. What's the term?
Oh boy, medical term or?
Yeah, medical term for being dizzy. That's
So there's ataxia. There's shoot. I just went blank.
Name right now. Which anyway, you're the one who should know this.
I know. I treat it all the time. Vertigo. Sorry, vertigo.
Vertigo. There we go. I've somehow in my brain I mixed up dementia and vertigo.
Oh my God.
And I said to her, "Oh, I've had that." And she goes, "What?" It didn't dawn on me, and I said, "Oh, yeah, it came on really strong. And I had such a hard time, and everything was just kind of all over the place. And the was up, and I went on. And she was like, "Oh, you poor boy." And then it dawned on me after I was into this. She started asking me questions, and I realized what the difference was.
That's the funniest thing I've heard. That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. She's horrified, like, because she's like, oh my God, dementia is the hardest thing to deal with because we just had to put her father, my wife's father.
And then it felt so bad.
I was all over
just got off the phone with her as fast as I could. And it just dawned on me that the other time was also equally as funny as yoga class I farted.
Oh, Jesus.
There you go. Right in the middle of yoga class, everybody's starting.
And you're a guy, and most of them, like I'd say 65% women, 45% men, but yeah.
More like 90%. Yeah, it was like two guys in the place, and I just let one fly. I mean, I never ate lunch before having yoga again.
Which is funny. I've always been kind of non-believer, just my own little world. I don't care about. I mean, we're raised on Judeo-Christian, like we know who Jesus is, that type thing. But recently, in the last 2022, I became a master certified hypnotist, which is not what you think. I just relax people and make them do what they want to do. It's not like I'm having people rob banks or I'm a stage magician type stuff. But anyways, during all this stuff, I learned some of it was BS. Some of it was really, I learned a lot. But I started meditating like this. They teach you how to breathe and stuff, 4 seconds in, 2 seconds, and 4 seconds out. It's what the Navy SEALs use. Yeah, the meditation stuff really works. The Navy SEALs use it. The VA, Veterans Administration, is starting to use it for PTSD. And so I found these singing bowls online, and I really like these people called the Buddhist. The only reason I'm not a Buddhist because I haven't been to a church and asked to take the vows or whatever they have to do. Like, I don't know if you have to steal the pebble from the blind guy's hand. I don't know what they do. I don't know if I have to walk up some steps with some water buckets, but I really like what they do with the breathing stuff. And I got some singing bowls that relax me, and just focusing on something else is what it's about, and being positive. And I found some guy in Germany by the name of Master Shi Young He. He's like some Chinese guy, but he's German, I guess. And he's a master kung fu artist. He kicks people's ass, but then he like very gently picks them up and say, when you fall, you should cushion yourself, stupid shit. Anyways, I found the meditation to breathing. I've never done yoga because my balance is not good after the strokes, but I don't want to fall down. Oh, I'm just a mess now. But yeah, the breathing, I really like those people, the little yoga people. And the Buddhist people don't really beat people up anymore. In the 1970s, everyone was kung fu fighting. Remember that song? But otherwise, they're kind of peaceful. I like the Dalai Lama guy, and they just don't seem to like, I don't know, the people, I call them the desert religions, because the little Christians and the Muslims, they always get sand in their butts and they get all angry and they go to war all the time. Like, I just don't see the Eastern religions fighting as much in wars, and I like that. I like peace. I just don't want animosity anymore. After being in the war myself, I'm like tired of it. Just like, hey guys, can't we just get along? And so here's a weird question. Don't let your wife hear this one. Who is your favorite, or what you might call a celebrity crush as a kid or as an adult? Like, what actor or actress that you really look up to or really liked, or like, what would you say?
I don't know. I'd have to think about that one for a while.
Because as a kid, I really liked Buck Rogers, and there was this lady named Erin Gray from the 80s, and there was this little robot, Twiggy, and then Buck Rogers and Erin Gray. What?
I met him.
What?
I got to talk to him for about 2 or 3 hours one night.
That's cool.
He was a friend of a friend. Yeah.
But remember the old shows, and you just... Oh, yeah, he lived in Arkansas, actually.
Yeah.
And I never got to meet him.
Really nice guy. So just to let you know, that Gil Gerard, that's what when I was talking about, I've had plenty of run-ins with stars, and he was one of them.
How do you meet these people? Jesus. You like have good luck on your side.
Southern California, I did had a lot of run-ins with people, and remember Rerun on
yes. Yep.
I met Rerun. He was a really good guy.
What? That's cool.
I did the birthday banquet, the nicest star ever. She's now passed a few years ago, but Etta James.
Who?
The lady who did the song At Last.
Huh.
You know that song?
That's cool.
She's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I did her birthday banquet. She asked if she could sell her own ribs. She came in. We did this banquet. And then halfway through, she came bursting through the door. Well, we sat in the back while they ate so that they, could have their time. And she said, I need one more table. I need it all set up, please. And we rolled the table out. We set it all up. And she said, now you are all my guests, and we will all clean this up afterwards. And we sat and ate her ribs. They were amazing. And then her whole family and friends and everything helped us clean up the hall afterwards. It was
wow.
100 people there.
That
it was amazing.
I would not have guessed that. Like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, best star experience ever by far. But anyway, yeah, I've met a lot of those people, and so I got to meet Gil Gerard. He was a really nice guy.
I guess as Erin Gray was a crush I had, and then as an adult, I liked. There's so many actresses that are pretty, but yeah, just the acting abilities. Boy.
I know I've got many, and my wife will tell you who they are. But I can't name them on the
That's
spot.
funny.
You know.
I think my wife likes Jason Momoa and Brad Pitt, the typicals.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think Paul Rudd is. My wife likes Paul Rudd.
Oh, that's funny. The one I
But
liked is
I always like the ones that aren't typical beauties that everybody. I always like something interesting, not necessarily even considered all that.
it was called Deep Impact, and it was this lady named Tia. She's a blonde haired lady, but it's really short blonde hair, and she played Secretary of State, like she was, I guess, supposed to be Hillary Clinton before Hillary Clinton was supposed to run, but it was a Tia. I don't remember her name. She played with Jim Carrey when they went from rich to broke, and they had to get across the border. I forgot her name. Tia.
Leone, she was
Yes.
to David Duchovny.
Yes, that's exactly. Anyways, I thought she was attractive, but just people have different things. But yeah, celebrity crushes.
I guess the most standard star that I've always thought, well, she's really smart. Intelligence is the biggest thing for me.
Yep.
Oh gosh, what's her name? I'm
Cher.
typing in. No.
Phyllis Diller. Phyllis Diller.
Everybody really likes these days. No, she was. Here, I know how to look it up. Here, hold on.
Jennifer Lawrence. Oprah.
No, it's I am blanking
Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson. She's probably the one I can think of that's the most standard. Everybody else is a little bit more, and it's more her intelligence than anything else. She's really smart. I mean, she did an album of Tom Waits songs.
Whoa,
that's awesome.
That's impressive.
Yeah, so that's the kind of thing that I find really attractive, and my wife is very intelligent, so
that's cool. And then, what superpower do you wish you had?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I wish I could just choke people out really easily.
That's a choke people out, just knock them out.
No, not choke, chill.
Oh, chill. I was like, Jesus Christ, you just got really violent on me. That's
just
one.
Relax. I would just go all over the place like Kwai Chang Kang, and just relax.
Relax.
Get in the middle of whatever political situation I can. Just relax, man. It's fine, and dial things back a little bit. That'd be the best superpower in the world. Be nice.
You're truly a peaceful person now. Wow.
Don't be a dick would be the superpower. I just want to it's like point my finger and nope, you're not going to be a dick for today.
Because I'm not going to lie to you, in the psychological realm, if I say these things, if I say them to you, they will trigger you. They trigger most people in the world, in fact. If I say these 3 things: calm down, Spike; take a deep breath, Spike; and relax. When someone else tells me that, motherfucker, I'm going to get you back, motherfucker. Thanks a lot. You really torqued me off now. Now I'm going to prove a point.
As a superpower, that'd be great because then you just make somebody do it.
Yeah, true. And so
that would be the best superpower. Just relax.
Now, when they're angry, it's hard to bring them down, so you have to distract them. That's the technique I use. Someone that's mentally ill, and I have to bring them down a level. I'll ask them something that's like, did you tie your shoes? Or just something stupid. Do you have your keys on you? So they have to look and somewhat take it off them. But for panicking people, I can hypnotize them now and bring them down so they're not going to kill people or crying. And so that's a superpower. I don't know. It's just all just relaxing someone, telling them to focus on things. It's not what I thought it all was. Once you learn a magic trick, it's not as special. It just becomes a rote memorization, like putting the card behind your hand type thing. And then do you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert now? Are you willing to walk up to people that you don't know and just say hello to them? Or are you more of a shy person and sit back and they have to come up to you?
Yes to both. I took one of those tests years ago. And
Briggs-Meyer and that kind of crap, yeah.
Yeah, one of those. And it was, they said I had the worst thing to tell somebody who has a past with alcohol and drugs is that you're the most unique personality. But the most unique personality. That I was exactly split between introvert and extrovert, and that is absolutely true.
I agree with that, actually.
First, I have to have a certain amount of recharge by myself time every day, like hours, and I have to have moments where I'm out in the public. Winter's hard for me because I do more the by myself time, and I don't get that, recharge from doing farmers markets and doing personal appearances and things like that. I really enjoy that a lot, but I have to have my alone time every day.
Here's the most cerebral question I will ask you. What's your favorite book or the best book you've ever read? One that evoked emotion or something you really hit you?
John Steinbeck.
Of Mice and Men? Of what?
Cannery Row.
Oh, I wouldn't have expected that one.
I like it because it's you get a lot of different views. It's a little vignette of different people in the town, and in each one, regardless of what's going on or what the person is, he treats them like a human being, and I really like that.
God, there's been so many books. I think mine would have to be, Dune, the best sci-fi book. Well, Ender's Game was the best sci-fi book. Dune is number 2, according to the internet. But just that Jesus-like figure that was father died, persecution, and he becomes, people start following him, and in his name, more billions people die for an idea. And that just really bothered me, but it just stuck with me. But there's been...
I like Dune. I read Dune when I was in high school.
Yeah, exactly. I read it in high school, and I remember it being at Wendy's, and I was saying, me and this other guy were saying, Muad'Dib. That was the name of the little Paul Atreides guy.
That wasn't us. I feel like I might have done that.
I know. That's why I was thinking. I remember I did because you were my best friend, and I just remember doing so much with you. I just don't remember what I did. I remember going over to your house a lot because our dads knew each other.
Possible. That was about the time that I read it. It could have been, and then of course there was Harold. Do you remember Harold?
Oh yes, Harold, Missy, Rollin, and Edwin, a little Asian dude.
Harold lives like a mile from me.
What? I thought they lived on the East Coast and they were teachers.
They were on the East Coast, and now they moved to be near us.
What?
We've been friends for all these years.
What? You guys stayed in touch then?
At Comic-Con last week, they were at Comic-Con with us. We shared a table at Comic-Con.
No.
He has a business that the head that I said I had done 3D printed, he's got a 3D printing business.
What? No way. All I know he worked at they got married. He worked at Radio Shack for her father. They moved to North Carolina, became teachers.
Well,
and that's the last.
He did some other stuff. She's a teacher.
Oh, okay. A 3D printing business. And I wouldn't even know what to 3D print because there's just so, I just went to a conference and I didn't know what they did. Like I had my own 3D printers, but I just did it for fun.
Yeah, he does game pieces and stuff like that.
Yeah, the miniatures. That's what I was going to do for mine. That's what I used to do.
Look up Crimson Raven minis.
Crimson Raven minis. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's Harold's business.
Because I used to, as a hobby, I have so many damn hobbies. I have professional remote control cars. I play Dungeons and Dragons, and I paint those little miniatures. I did photography, computers, now the podcast thing. I have so many things that I used to be a runner. Now I can't. Yeah, I just have hobbies, and reading. I just go from chess, from hobby to hobby.
So did you ever see that movie? I think it was Black Orchid. It was
Black Widow, Salt,
not Black Widow.
Spies Like Us.
Adaptation. It was the
Superman
adaptation sequel. What was it called?
A guy that has a lot of hobbies. I'm ADHD, but I've been diagnosed as not being ADHD.
Yeah, I don't think it was the sequel. It was the by the same guy. Anyway, there's a movie, and in the movie, one of the things that they... The Orchid Thief. That's it. The Orchid Thief.
Never heard of it.
I think The Orchid Thief is the name of the movie. And in it, there's this guy who would really, really get into a subject, would learn everything there was to learn about it, and then would just fall out of love with it. And so he got really into fish, and he became the world's, like authority on fish. And then one day he said, "Fuck fish." And he never looked at a fish again. And so I call that fuck fish syndrome. Yeah, absolutely.
No, I do. I actually do go into things and I become the best, or, I try to, for what I can afford, remote control cars or whatever, and then magic. And then I did, yeah. And then, but I'll put my foot back in it for a little bit and I'll do it. And then I'll go out of it again. I'm not really giving things up and hating it. I don't go that far into it though, but yeah, just interesting things. Cooking. I'm kind of still into cooking, but I'm just not as good as you. Oh, I wanted to tell you about the cooking. This cookbooks that my neighbor, who was a genius, he worked for the drug companies and he made drugs. He was in the laboratory and he helped literally make the drug. It had to go through a permeable membrane and he was really wealthy, but he made us dinner one night and I was like, this is the best pizza I've ever had. And he gave me this book. And the book was called the Test Kitchen Pros. It's these scientists that take a recipe like cookies, chocolate chip cookies. They'll take all 435 different cookies and they'll scientifically learn why the yeast goes in. Have you heard that?
Yeah, there's a lot of those. Was it called the Food Lab?
Test Kitchen is what it was called. They could have had the Food Lab with it. I don't know, but it's called America's Test Kitchen.
Talking about America's Test Kitchen's a TV show, by the way.
Yeah, it's a book too.
Excellent. Yeah, it's an excellent. Yeah, they've got several books. Yeah, I actually love that. I use a lot of their techniques. By the way, if you like that, you'd like the Food Lab. Kenji Lopez Alt, fantastic.
So you've heard of okay?
Yeah.
Because for a while there, I was trying to run ultra marathons and get more energy. So we became vegan, which was virtually impossible when we moved to Japan. So for 3 years, I was running at a level that I had more energy and more, I can't explain it, more vigor. And then moved to Japan and they have fish, milk, and cheese and pretty much everything. You just don't know the Japanese eat all that crap because they're so healthy. So I became a flexitarian. I did what I could. You're going to survive. I'm not going to anger people. I don't want to be one of those people like, I'm a vegan, please change your whole menu type people.
Yeah, I was a vegan for a while. I was an obnoxious vegan for about 3 or 4 years.
Oh my God.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know how?
It was like my 20s.
Do you know how you can tell who's a vegan and who's a marathon runner?
Marathon runners run.
No, don't worry. You never have to. They'll let you know that they're a marathon runner or a vegan. Because they, you know what I'm saying? It's the joke that is that, hey, the handshake reminds me of my marathon start official. Just they always come up with something they have to let you know. Yeah, your shoes remind me of the marathon I just ran last week. Or, oh my gosh, is that meat I see? Because I'm a vegan. We can't do that. They always let you know somehow. Yeah, I've lost a few pounds now that I'm vegan. So there was this guy named Paul. Oh my God, the Christmas guy. Oh my God, Tim Allen. Tim Allen's on a TV show and they're in a family and the daughter marries a vegan guy named Brad. And Tim Allen says like, oh, looks like Brad can't lift the boxes. He must be a vegan. That's the most offensive thing you can do. You can talk about religion and politics at a restaurant, but as soon as you say vegan, everyone hates you.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
I'm fine with most vegans nowadays don't do that. It was a kind of a stereotype that I helped perpetuate.
Oh my God, you were that guy.
I was that guy. I really was. I was. And that's, I think it's good to go through those eras because then you don't do that later on.
Yeah, I went through the religion thing, then I went through the vegan thing. Yeah, but I was, let's see. I just got my colonoscopy, which almost killed me. But the doctor said no more red meat. So I'm like, ooh. And so now I'm just eating like chicken. I can't eat fish because I don't like the taste. I can do shrimp, lobster, and tuna fish. That's it. And then the, what do you call it? Chicken is pretty much in everything anyway. So not too bad. Do you have people?
That's what I do. I very, very, very well.
I read this book by Dr. Michael Greger, the preeminent authority of dietitians. He's like the guru, the guy, the penultimate, if you will, how not to diet. And it just talks about all the science behind it. That's all it is. He never tells you what to do. He just gives advice like, well, this don't trust me. Let's put it to the test. Every thing on Netflix. Every dietary thing you'll ever see, he'll be this little nerdy guy with glasses. He's a brilliant doctor, but he'll, don't trust me, let's put it to the test. And he talks about the science of all that crap. Drinking milk has leads women 80% chance of increased breast cancer in America because our milk is so processed. And if a man eats chicken and an egg a day, he can 81% increased chance of prostate cancer. We just have the highest cancer rates in the world, and that's why kind of our diet doing it to us. But God, do they have something up in Idaho called Five Guys?
Yeah, I've had Five Guys. I haven't seen one here, but I'm sure there is one.
Oh my God, that's the best hamburger in the world, where the grease runs down your arm and the French fries in the bag, the grease is saturating through. It's just like American. You don't get that in Europe. They don't have that kind of crap.
I learned I learned that I had high blood pressure.
What?
After having Five Guys one day. The next day, my blood pressure would. I mean, I was standing in my living room. I'm like, something's wrong. I don't know what, but something's wrong. I was really overweight. I weighed 279.
You're the skinniest person I've ever met in my life.
So I went into the emergency or to the urgent care, and they said, "We're going to send you to the emergency room. My blood pressure was 189 over 133."
Jesus Christ, that's hypertensive emergency. You almost had a stroke. Jesus.
And I was like, let's just drive. And we did. We drove to the emergency room. I was there for like 8 hours, and then they got me on blood pressure meds. But it was after eating Five Guys.
Oh my God, Five Guys almost killed me. That's funny. Hey, can you tell me Harold's business again? I want to put another plug in for Harold.
Yeah, Crimson Raven Minis.
You say Crimson
Raven.
Raven.
Like the bird.
Caw-caw.
Like miniatures.
Minis. Cool. Crimson. Because Crimson was the Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. My birthday's May 4th, obviously. May the 4th be with you. But Crimson Tide, I think Crimson was the name of the, in the Han Solo movie, the criminal organization. That's why it just made me think, did he name it after that? Or was it just one of those things where he too went on top of a mountain and saw a crimson raven when he was doing peyote in his Indian form?
No, it was, I'll let him tell you the story on that one. there's a story
so there I was eating in the restaurant. No, that's funny. Gosh, I can't believe you guys live next to each other. That's a friendship. Wow. And so
I love it. I love having him here in town. It's great.
Wow, I can't believe you guys hooked up. Like, yeah, Harold. And the funny thing is, the guy that is in Florida right now,
Oh, yeah, I know.
Connor, we'll say his name is Connor because that's what I was calling him on the show because he doesn't want his name revealed. He's, he could get killed and stuff. Yeah. He was reminding me of who we hung around with in high school at that time, around outside the theater. There was, he reminded me of Edwin, some little Asian guy that I was friends with, and I don't remember at all.
I remember Edwin. Yeah.
That's so weird, a skinny little guy named Edwin. And then he mentioned people's sisters, whether it be Harold's sister or Missy's sister or someone that we hung around with. There was two people he mentioned.
Harold's sister, Kathy.
Kathy was the name, and I don't remember her at all. That's crazy.
Yeah, I went out with Kathy. She was my first girlfriend.
What? That's crazy because, yeah, we just were a group of 5 or 6 or 7 or 8. And then it just kind of like, and Connor was afraid to even come over by us because he was beaten and abused back in the state he was prior to. And so he thought my plan was to bring him to you guys so you guys could beat him up. And so that was a long story. It's just funny how people's perceptions of others when you first meet them and what their underlying, what are they out to get? So does Harold eat a hot sauce? Is he a hot sauce connoisseur, or did you talk him into it?
Yeah, he eats my hot sauce all the time.
What?
Yeah.
This is so weird, like shots from the people from 30 years ago. Just never thought wow. That is so cool. Oh, well, it was good talking to you here. I'm going to end it up. We've spent an hour and 49 minutes on this podcast, so I appreciate you. And
no problem. Thank you.
Spike, what's the name of your, one more plug for your hot sauce? Irish Spike's Hot Sauce?
Yeah, actually it's 2 brands, Irish Spike's Unique Hot Sauce and also Vandal Pepper Sauces.
Vandal Pepper Sauces. Is that a hotter one?
No, it's more standard. not the more unique stuff. So it'll be like a solid table hot sauce.
Gotcha. And do you have a website?
Labels. Yeah, it's you can just go to saucecult.com.
Sauce Cult?
C-U-L-T. Yeah.
A cult. O-C-C-O-U-L-T. Like a cult. Gotcha.
No, not a cult. Just Sauce Cult.
C-U-L-T. Yeah. Like Crazy People Cult. Gotcha. Crimson Raven Minis for Harold for his 3D printing business. And Irish Spike's Unique Hot Sauce and Vandal's Hot Sauce. Vandal's Peppers.
Vandal Pepper Sauces.
Vandal Pepper Sauces. I haven't heard of that one before. And that's cool. Well, it was excellent talking to you.
On the same website.
And thank you. And ironically, the name of my podcast is Why So Spicy, which has nothing to do with hot sauce. I was just happened to be in my father's memory care unit with Alzheimer's people, and I saw some words on the wall and ended up coming up with Why So Spicy. It just, ironic that you have to have hot sauces.
Absolutely fits.
But awesome speaking with you. Great to catch up. And we'll catch you on the flip side. Thank you very much, Spike.